In a bold escalation of transatlantic tech tensions, the European Union has fined Apple and Meta a combined $700 million, roughly $798 million, under its new Digital Markets Act. Apple has been hit with a $500 million fine, while Meta faces a $200 million penalty. These are the first major fines under the DMA, aimed at curbing the power of dominant digital platforms.
So today the Commission has imposed fines of €500 million to Apple and €200 million to Meta for breaching the Digital Markets Act.
EU regulators accuse Apple of restricting browser choices and abusing data collection practices. Meta, they say, engaged in anti-competitive behavior across its platforms.
Now, Apple is indeed breaching its anti-steering obligations under the DMA by imposing a number of restrictions on app developers to steer their customers to alternative offers outside the Apple App Store. Meta, with its binary pay or consent advertising model, is breaching the DMA obligation to give consumers the choice of a service that uses less of their personal data.
Follows a proposed $1 billion fine against Elon Musk's X for disinformation under the Digital Services Act, further heightening US-EU tensions. US Secretary of State Marco Rubio voiced strong objections in a State Department interview, calling out what he described as economic sabotage. President Donald Trump has also condemned Europe's digital rules, calling them unfair trade barriers.
From the standpoint of America, the EU treats us very, very unfairly, very badly. They have a large tax that we know about, and a VAT tax, and it's a very substantial one. Landing in Europe is brutal. They charge us fees for everything, and it's so unfair. I said they took court cases with Apple, and they supposedly won a case that most people didn't think was much of a case. They won 15 or 16 billion from Apple. They won billions from Google. I think they're after Facebook for billions and billions. These are American companies. Whether you like them or not, they're American companies, and they shouldn't be doing that. And that's, as far as I'm concerned, it's a form of taxation. So we have some very big complaints with the EU.
Elon Musk, also under the EU scanner, joined the chorus of criticism. Speaking at a conference in Italy, he slammed the EU's regulatory culture.
The regulations in Europe is overregulated. There are too many rules and regulations that make it very difficult to create a company, and do too much to protect large companies at the expense of small to medium-sized companies. The regulatory situation in Europe is stifling, and Brussels is amplifying that greatly. So you have both the local regulations, the country regulations, and then you have the EU regulations. There's so many regulations in Europe. It makes it extremely difficult to start a company and be successful. So I think radical deregulation is necessary in Europe.
While the fines are substantial, the fines issued so far are seen as relatively modest, given the DMA allows for penalties of up to 10% of a company's global revenue and even 20% for repeat offenders. But beyond the numbers lies a deeper rift, one that underscores how Brussels and Washington are drifting apart on digital governance. As regulatory fault lines deepen, the global tech industry is bracing for what could become a prolonged battle over the rules of the digital world. With the Trump administration vowing to defend American interests and the EU standing firm on digital sovereignty, the world may be witnessing the early days of a transatlantic tech showdown, setting the stage for a broader global showdown over digital power.